Hi, my name is Alice and I'm here to talk about one New Year's resolution which I think every person, namely girls in their 20s, should have in 2015, and that is buy a new pair of shoes. You probably don't need that much persuading, and in fact I think you probably will buy a new pair of shoes in 2015, but I'm just talking about a very particular type of shoe. Most have one pair of shoes that they wear to school, to university, to college, to work, that are kind of thought of their comfortable leather pair of shoes which have a lot of support, and they only have one pair of them because they think that's what is enough. I'm here to tell you that you need two pairs, and I'm going to give you three really good reasons for that. So the first reason is that it's going to be good for your feet. The second reason is that it's going to mean that you're going to be less prone to foot infection. And the third reason is it's going to be good for your shoe. And if you don't watch any of the rest of the video, just take those 3 points in mind and go and buy another pair of shoes. But I'm just going to expand on those points now. So the first one is it's going to be better for your feet. I've got two pairs of shoes here. One of them is my pair of shoes, another one is my sister's pair of shoes. I buy quite a few pairs of comfortable shoes to walk in, whereas my sister has a policy that, well, she's going to change that policy in 2015. She's got a policy where she buys one pair of really lovely, practical leather, expensive-ish boots that she wears nearly every single day, and then they wear out and they're pretty much unusable, and she chucks them out and buys a new pair. So these were bought about 2 weeks ago. These were bought about 18 months ago. They could probably do as a bit of TLC. But just to demonstrate a couple of differences between the two, which impacts the foot, other than, yes, they are both black ankle boots. So the first is, on Charlotte's shoe here, I hope you can see that there is a toe cap and on the vamp. So the vamp is the upper of the shoe, and this toe cap has stitching along it, which means that the leather is less likely to distort. Which is obviously a good thing, but on the other hand, it means that if you have got a slightly wider foot, then you're going to have a bit of, you're not going to have that much give around the widest area of your foot, and it actually looks like the widest area of her foot here isn't quite wide enough because there's a little bit, not actually that much, a little bit of distortion already. This, on the other hand, has nothing, so it's got no support. But it does mean that your foot isn't going to be pushing against that shoe as much. The second reason is heel height. So this shoe has a slightly higher heel than this shoe. You can't tell because these do actually need reheeling. But bearing in mind it is a smaller foot, the angle at which your shoe is going to be at, and therefore the angle that you're constantly going to be walking forward at, is going to be slightly higher. It's going to be slightly more acute. And that's worth bearing in mind when you're walking as well, is that you do need to change that angle, otherwise your foot is going to always be comfortable in one position. And the third reason is that there's a lot more lace on this, and there's zips, and there's a lot more going on, which again offers a lot more support, but there's a lot of areas where, you know, the foot can be rubbed, be pressured, and that could leave, you know, blisters, those kind of things, which people then think will go away, but actually it's good after you get blisters to put your feet into another pair of shoes so they can just relax a little bit. So generally you just need the foot to relax. So that's the first reason, it's going to be better for your foot. The second reason about the actual state and the condition of the shoe is that in winter it rains and in summer it's hot, and whether you're a lady or not, you're going to sweat. I sweat a lot, I know my friends do too, I'll admit that, and people still find me attractive, I hope. And what that means is that the shoe is going to have a lot of moisture in it. And if you constantly wearing the same shoe every single day, it's not going to have the opportunity to dry out, which means that you are harbouring a lovely environment for some great fungal infections, which I've heard no one wants in 2015. So that's a very obvious reason. And that happens whether or not you wear socks, because it's going to rain. There's going to be environmental factors that means that, yeah, your shoe is going to get wet. And the third reason is actually about the shoe. So leather and some other natural materials, non-man-made materials not so much, stretches and distorts when your foot is inside it, and then it has an elastic property that means that it can go back to its original shape. And the more that it is kind of loses that elastic nature, it just doesn't look as good, it doesn't wear as well, it eventually breaks, all these things happen, which means that the shoe isn't going to last as long. And as a result of that, it's much more economical to sit down and think about buying 2 pairs of shoes at once rather than 1 pair of shoes every 12 months, because 2 pairs of shoes at once, yes, obviously it's going to last double as long, but actually it lasts twice as long. So you can keep the same pair of shoes for 5 years, which when you're in your 20s isn't really a bad thing, because everyone hates it when their favourite pair of shoes breaks, rather than 18 months. And I know that there are some pairs of shoes that my father has owned that are 25 years old, and they're gorgeous Oxfords, the sort of type that is constantly in fashion. So those are 3 really good reasons to buy a new pair of shoes in 2015. Number 1, it's better for your feet. Number 2, you'll avoid infection. And number 3, it's better for your shoes. So go out and buy a new pair of shoes in 2015. Do it. Do it now.